think if you have a liver disease? Will it be elevated or it will be lower? What? What do you think? Again, you can use the chat box if you want to answer, or you can use your microphone to answer. What do you think? Nga lang, kapag sa chat box, I can only see that later on. So, the answer is, it will be decrease. So, bababa. Kasi nga, the liver is the organ that primarily manufacture the proteins in the blood, diba? So, bababa ang blood protein levels. What about for renal disorders? Ano sa tingin niyo mangyayari sa protein when you have kidney problems? Tataas ba, bababa? Ano ba example ng mga renal disorders? Halimbawa, glomerulonephritis. Namamaga yung glomerulus. Para saan ba yung glomerulus, if you remember? That is for filtration, okay? For filtration of, filtration, of course, ang basis natin for this would be the size of the particle. So yung mga large particles are unable to pass through the glomerulus. However, in case there is glomerulonephritis, namamaga yung glomerulus, what do you think will happen? So proteins can pass through the glomerulus. And that will cause a lowering again in the level of blood protein. Kasi nakakalusot yung protein sa blood. And there is no way that we can parang reabsorb the proteins because these proteins are large molecules. They are difficult to reabsorb. Yeah, so and that is what will happen in renal disorders. And again, in malnutrition, when there is no input, wala tayong pinapasok sa katawan natin na sources of protein, the body will also have a difficult time manufacturing the same substance. So malnutrition. So in all cases, most of the time, okay, the protein level is lowered, mababa. Mataas din ba ang protein level? Yes, mataas din ang protein level. Okay? So, it can also happen. So again, so in some cases of renal disorders, so it's not all lowered, but sometimes in renal disorders, the protein level may also be elevated. Why? Because of maybe an increase in the production of, say, hemoglobin. As you know, hemoglobin is part of the red blood cell. So the kidney is responsible for the production of erythropoietin. So enzymes in general may be elevated in cases of liver disorder, of disorders in general, many different disorders. Anyway, let's go to the next one. Research. And another reason why we are doing protein detection is because of, we want to discover something new, something that is very useful, especially in the field of health and medicine. What we know now is that there are many proteins responsible for different diseases. So we can identify the disease based on the protein that is present in the body fluid. And also we can explain, so through research, we can explain how those diseases came about. Okay, so paano ba nagkaroon ng sakit? So meron tayong scientific explanation. Okay, and usually this relates to the presence of certain proteins. And thirdly, quality control. So in the field of pharmaceuticals, production of drugs, and in food biochemistry, so they are useful because, well, the detection of certain substances, particularly proteins, can help us identify if there is a problem in the food, okay, or what are the changes that happen in the food or in the drug. We are explaining the role of protein, for example, in the delivery of drugs in the blood. Okay, so pag nag-pharmacology na kayo, when you take up that course, you will learn that meron tayong tinatawag na absorption and then distribution, ADME, metabolism, and excretion. So those are the different processes undergone by drugs, in the body, and all of them, most of them involve proteins. Example, absorption. Some drugs are insoluble in plasma, so that it would be impossible to deliver these to other parts of the body. So what do we need? You have learned that proteins can act as transport molecules. And so next, let's have this one. How do we assess these proteins? So again, this is a combination of quantity and quality. So ang difference lang naman ng clinical chemistry and biochemistry is, yan nga, one is quality, more quality. The other is more quantification. Total protein, measurement of total protein concentration. That means all the proteins in your body fluid is measured. And then identification of specific proteins and their concentration. Then quantitative identification. So more than just, identifying the proteins that are present, we also want to measure them. And the number for structural and functional characteristics of protein. This is more of the proteomics, maybe something advanced. This is something advanced. Number 2, what are the different samples or specimens that we can use or we will be utilizing in the laboratory for measurement of proteins? So these are the different common specimens. Number 1, serum. Number 2, plasma, then urine, CSF, saliva, tears, and milk. Right, so these are the usual tests that we can, that are substances that we try to detect in those samples. So, bakit ba magkaiba pa ang serum and plasma? Well, fibrinogen is found in plasma, but not in serum. So, we can only do measurement of fibrinogen if our specimen is plasma. Okay, and take note that in order to get plasma, we need to use an anticoagulant. But in serum, we don't use anticoagulant. Okay, and another note is we have to avoid hemolysis. Why? Isipin natin, bakit kaya bawal ang hemolysis? May protein ba? Yan na natanong at because what we are trying to measure is protein. May protein ba sa loob ng red blood cell? Yes, may protein sa loob ng red blood cell. That is primarily hemoglobin. It's not really limited to that. Kasi nga, alam natin, ang cell itself contains many different proteins, right? Maraming klase ng protein. And for serum, aside from total protein determination, pag total kasi lahat, no? And these total proteins include albumin and globulins. Albumin and globulins. We can also perform electrophoresis. So, ano natin electrophoresis? Try to recall electrophoresis. This is a method of separating substances that are, they have charge. They are charged particles. And one of those charged particles, this is very ideal for separation of protein molecules. Okay, let's go to urine. The presence of protein in urine is called proteinuria. Okay, and let me tell you, well, I can ask you, is it normal to find protein in the urine? You may answer yes, you may answer no. Okay, but the correct answer would be no. Dapat walang protein sa ihi. Because once merong protein ang ihi mo, what could it mean? Kanina na-explain natin, we have mentioned that the very presence of protein in urine indicates that there may be something wrong with the glomerulus. Baka namamaga yung glomerulus, merong glomerulo nephritis. Glomerulonephritis. So from the word glomerulus. Nephritis, nephron. Namamaga yung nephron. Part of the nephron is the glomerulus. So proteinuria may be present. But, pwede din po bang magkaroon ng protein sa ihi kahit hindi namamaga ang urine, ang kidney? Yes, pwede rin. Because along the way, in the urinary tract, meron diyang mga cells, di ba? May mga cells dyan. So yung cells themselves can contribute to the protein. And for example, nagkaroon ng bleeding, may bleeding, so may blood. So magpa-positive sa protein. May bacteria, magpa-positive sa protein, lalo na kung mataas yung level. Kung may cells, maraming cells, magpa-positive sa protein. Kapag nakakita kayo ng cast, I do not know if at this point na-encounter niyo na yung word na cast. In, let's say, PMLS. But that is one of the microscopic findings in people with kidney disease. Yung cast, yung tinatawag natin na matrix dun sa cast, is actually made of protein. So it's made of protein. And that protein holds, yun yung nakahawak dun sa mga components or particles that may be present inside the cast. Halimbawa, ang laman niya, red blood cell, tatawagin natin yun na RBC cast. Kung WBC ang laman niya, WBC cast. So it depends. It depends on what cells are present. Or maybe we can just simply describe it as finely granular or coarse granular cast. Kasi hindi natin ma-identify ano ba yung laman niya. Alam lang natin may mga granules. At yung granules na yun ay maliliit, so finely granular cast. Kung makakapal naman, malalaki, pero hindi natin malaman kung cell ba yan o ano. So, tawagin natin niya, coarse granular cast. I hope you get the idea. And again, ang significance ng protein here is that it is the matrix. Yung ano ba yung matrix natin? Ito yung pinaka nag-hold. So, like in connective tissue, di ba meron tayong tinatawag na matrix? So, analogy, parang kung meron tayong cell, ang cell meron tatlong parts. Sabihin natin maraming parts ng cell. But the three main parts are the nucleus, the cytoplasm, and the cell membrane. Ang cytoplasm, siya yung nag-hold ng mga organelle, tsaka yung nucleus kasama na yan. Okay? So, ganun din ang matrix. Pinaka-matrix, yun yung cytoplasm. Okay? Okay, I'm not saying cytoplasm may matrix, no, hindi. So, this is only applicable to connective tissues or in this case, baka yung mga cast. Okay? So, may mga laman siya. Yung mga laman niya, yun yung nagko-correspond dun sa organ. Kaya nga analogy. Okay? So, next. So, kung wala kay reaction, so I'm just going to the next part. So, unless you have some questions, so pwede kayo magtanong. Pwede kayo, you can always ask questions to verify, to clarify. Maybe you have something in your mind, okay, that is bothering you. Okay, you can always ask some questions, okay? Then CSF. Saan ba nakukuha yung CSF? Ano meaning ng CSF? Cerebro spinal fluid. So, pag inanalyze mo yung word, cerebro, brain yun. Spinal, spine yun. So, syempre, fluid, ito yung liquid na nandun sa CSF, sa brain and spinal cord. So, this is the circulating fluid in your nervous system. Okay? May dugo ba sa loob ng nervous system? May dugo ba sa loob ng nervous system? So, ang sagot, wala. Bakit wala? Kasi yung dugo, dumadaan siya sa tinatawag na blood-brain barrier. So, kahit walang dugo, meron pa rin nutritional parang source yung ating nervous system. Because yung blood natin, it will pass through that blood-brain barrier, the BBB, and it will become CSF. So, in short, yung laman na nutrients ni blood, kaya nilagay niya sa CSF. Bakit kaya walang blood sa loob ng nervous system? Bakit kaya walang blood? May mga part ng katawan natin na walang blood, no, walang diretsyo, walang vascularity. Okay? Kaya yung mga parts na yan, kapag nagkaroon ng access ng blood, ano sa tingin niyo mangyayari? There will be an antigen-antibody reaction. Kasi normally, wala naman silang blood, tapos nagkaroon ng access ng blood. So, yung katawan natin mismo magre-react, bakit nagka-blood dito? Anong nangyari? So, in that case, there will be like antibody production, antibody against your own blood cell. Okay? Anyway, so I get the idea, CSF. So, for CSF, what we are trying to measure, meron protein sa CSF. Yes, meron. So, by identifying the protein that is present, we can identify neurological diseases. And dito pala nakita mo, alam naman natin na to. So, yung ideal specimen for urine analysis is first morning urine. Or if you want to measure quantitatively, you can do a 24-hour sample. Na-encounter nyo na ba yon yung 24-hour specimen? Paano ba ginagawa yung 24-hour specimen? Baka may gusto sumagot. Okay? Paano ginagawa yung 24-hour sample collection? 24 hours. Halimbawa, gabi, no? Last night, anong oras ka natulog last night? Halimbawa, sabihin natin, 8 o'clock natulog ka na. Ang aga mo matulog, no? 8 o'clock natulog ka na. And then, the next day, anong oras ka usually gumigising? Pinatin 5 o'clock. In 5 in the morning, nagising ka. Isasama mo ba yung, syempre, one of the parang daily routine mo ay naiihi ka na in the morning. Kasi throughout the night, hindi ka umiihi. So, in the morning, naihi ka. So, kukolektahin mo ba yung ihi mo na yan? So, from 8 p.m. down to 5 a.m. Kasama kaya yun? So, I'm just pausing. Naglalagay ako ng pause para for time for you to think. And maybe you want to type in your answer para makita kung, yes, Miss Bulawan, oh, Jasmine.
Ang usual po kasi sinasabi sa'min, yung first morning urine po is not included po, lalo 'pag testing.
Okay. So, hindi siya kasama. Bakit? Bakit daw hindi isasama yung first morning urine? Ano ba nire-represent? Ano nire-represent nung first morning na yun? Sample. It represents your urine from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. Gets? Okay, so ilang oras yun? 8, 9, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 and then 4. 9 hours yun. No? 9 hours na yun. So hindi mo isasama yun kasi yun yung ihi mo kahapon. Kahapon. So from the time na, ayan, so after na umihi ka ng first morning, until gumising ka ulit, lahat ng ihi mo, no, lahat ng ihi mo na mapoproduce after your first morning, kokolektahin mo na. And then, hanggang kailan yun? Hanggang the next day, 5 a.m. Kung anong oras ka nag-start. Okay, so that will be your 24-hour sample. Okay, and this is going to be a quantitative sample. Okay, mini-measure natin on the average yung production, ang hourly production ng protein sa ihi. Okay? So proteins, the presence of proteins, we can make your urine parang cloudy, nagiging cloudy. And some proteins in urine can be precipitated at cold temperature. Okay? Pwedeng mag-precipitate sa cold temperature. Anyway, so saliva, move na tayo kasi nandito pa lang tayo. Saliva, tears, and milk. Ito yung mga body fluids natin. Although hindi natin masyadong ginagamit, we don't normally use this. Okay? Kasi nga for research or specialized studies. Maybe in the future, we will discover something important about the proteins that is present in saliva or tears or milk or other body fluids. Pre-analytical issues. So we have mentioned hemolysis. We know hemolysis. If we are going to perform spectrophotometric methods, and encounter na natin to sa analytical chem, ha? Spectrophotometric methods. So, ibig sabihin, nagme-measure tayo ng colored substances. So the presence of hemolysis can interfere with spectrophotometric assays as well as lipemic specimens. Okay? Because of the color they impart to the sample. Okay? Then temperature and pH can also be a factor. They can also be factors that can result in enzymatic and dye-binding reactions. Okay, mamaya, explain natin yan. Okay, ano ba yung enzymatic method? Ano yung dye-binding reaction? And another issue is protein denaturation. If you're not going to use it for example, like in this case, you are freezing your sample. If you freeze your sample and then you thaw it afterwards, okay, it might lead to denaturation. So let's have the first one. Biuret method. Kung meron tayong general test for carbohydrates, meron din tayong general test for protein. Ibig sabihin, lahat ng protein dapat mag-positive dito. Kaya ang tawag natin ay biuret. Biuret method. Ang principle ng biuret method. In an alkaline condition or alkaline conditions, peptide bonds react with copper ions to form a violet-colored complex that can be measured at 540 nanometers. So, i-disregard mo na lang itong measurement, okay? So, kasi pwede din siyang quantity. Okay? Ano daw magiging kulay ng protein kapag inilagay natin sa alkaline copper containing solution? Magpo-form daw siya ng violet color. Kaya madali lang, no? Violet. Okay? Violet. Okay. Nagbigay nga tayo ng example ng reagent na mayroong alkaline condition tapos may copper pa. Nagamit nyo na yan dati. Kapag may copper, anong kulay? Anong kulay ng reagent nyo? Kapag may copper sulfate, for example. Hindi nyo natandaan yung mga may copper. Alkaline copper solution. Benedict's. Yan. So, si Jacob. Okay, sige. Jacob. Nasabi ko na ba?
Opo. Benedict's
Meron
po.
pang isa, maliban kay Benedict's. May kulay blue din. Baka matandaan nyo din. Kulay blue. Pero dalawa siya. May A at saka may B. Ginamit natin sa carbohydrate. So, sige. Ano na? Anthony, Louis. Ano yun?
Spellings po, Doc.
Yan, spelling test, no? So, meron siyang alkaline environment kasi meron siyang copper, sodium carbonate, di ba? Sodium hydroxide, sodium carbonate, tapos meron tayong copper sulfate. So, nagpo-form siya na. Pwede natin gamitin yun. Pero dito, mapapansin nyo, yung reagent na gagamitin natin ang tawag biuret reagent. Okay, biuret reagent. So, anyway, ito yung ating chemical reaction. Protein plus copper in an alkaline environment will form a biuret complex. What do we detect here? Anong dinedetect natin? So, peptide bonds. Ang hinahanap natin. Okay? Kasi lahat ng may peptide bond, magre-react daw dyan. ano lang bang chemical ang nagre-react sa peptide bond? So, di syempre, protein. Siya lang naman ang may peptide bond. So, the minimum is that they should have at least more than 2 or equal to 2 peptide bonds. So, the intensity may vary depending on the concentration of protein. Kaya pwede natin itong gamitin quantitatively. So, ito yung ginagamit sa laboratory, sa clinical laboratory for measurement, kahit yung sa mga automated machines, yung mga automated instruments. Malas ay yan, biorate pressure, reaction. Ang normal value, ang normal range or reference range natin ay 6 to 8 grams per deciliter. Okay, so ito yung normal value ng ating serum protein. Okay, serum protein. Advantages, simple, accurate, okay, and there is minimal interference from amino acids or small peptides kasi nga, kapag amino acids, well, ano lang yan, maliliit molecules, so they don't really contribute much to the measurement. However, it's not very sensitive for dilute samples, for example, in CSF and in urine where the amount of protein is much lower compared to serum. So, mahirap daw gamitin to sa ibang specimen. Kapag lalo na kung mababa naman ang protein level. Okay, and there may be interference with by ammonia, urea, and hemoglobin. So the presence of ammonia, urea, and hemoglobin can interfere with biorate method. Next, Lowry method. Tinatawag din natin itong so Folin-Shukalto test. Okay, kasi ang ginagamit natin ay Folin-Shukalto reagent. Okay? So this test, Lowry method, reacts with tyrosine and tryptophan residues. So ito naman, halos lahat ng protein may tyrosine tsaka may tryptophan. At ang color na mapoproduce niya ay blue color. So yan, sa mga qualitative test ito, but can be used quantitatively. Kasi nga may color. Di ba ang requirement natin sa spectrophotometric method, dapat daw colored solution. So nasa spine niya, nag-produce tayo ng color. And according to Beer's law, ano ba sabi ni Beer's law? The concentration of the solution, of the colored solution, is directly proportional to the concentration. So the darker the color of the solution, the higher the concentration. Kaya pwede natin siyang gamitin, okay, to measure, not just to detect, but also to measure. Nagkakaroon lang tayo ng difference in terms of wavelength. Okay, bakit magkaiba ang wavelength? Kasi kanina, purple yun eh. So, ang pag purple daw yung output natin, maganda kung i-measure natin yan sa 540. Okay, so ito yung peak absorbance. Ito naman, 750. Medyo mataas na yung kanyang wavelength na gagamitin. Okay, but this is very sensitive, you can see. It's very sensitive. It can measure values as low as 1 to 10 micrograms per ml. Ang low, ang baba na niya. Pero ito, hindi daw niya, ito lang hindi niya madidetect kasi mababa yung concentration dito. Hindi na niya madidetect. Pero dito, kahit gaano kababa, kaya pa din niyang madetect. Okay, so ito. So, biorate reaction with Folin-Shukalto reagent. Dinagdagan. Okay, this is more sensitive, as you can see, and can be used for research purposes. However, it's really labor intensive. Mas mahirap daw i-perform. Okay, mas matagal. And it's subject to interference from buffers, reagents, and detergents and reagents. So, pwede mag-lead sa inaccuracies because of interference from these substances. Okay, next, another color test. Another color test for protein is called Bradford assay, or otherwise, no, yung old name niya is Kumasi Brilliant Blue assay. Okay. Kasi ang ginagamit nating dye is called Kumasi Brilliant Blue. Okay? So, ang hinahanap naman niya ay arginine and aromatic amino acid residues. Kung matatandaan nyo, ano ba yung aromatic amino acids? Ito yung mga amino acids na mayroong benzene ring, like tryptophan and phenylalanine and tyrosine. So, tandaan nyo yung tatlo, ha? Phenylalanine, tryptophan, tyrosine. PTT. Kung alam niyo yung PTT. Yan. So, and then, what else? They can cause a shift in absorption, okay, from 465 to 595 nanometers. So, ito yung ating, hahanapin mo daw, okay, from 465 to 595. Kung ano ang best wavelength, okay, to measure the absorbance. Yung peak absorbance. Ibig sabihin, peak, yung pinakamataas na absorbance. Advantages, number one, it's fast, rapid. Okay, it's highly sensitive, just like the previous test. Okay, and it is compatible with microplate readers. Itong microplate, ano yan, para mga ano yan, yung plastic well. Kung nakakita na kayo nito plastic well, wala akong illustration. But anyway, so meron tayong parang mga maliliit na test tube, pero dikit-dikit siya kasi nga nandun siya sa plastic. Pero maliliit, kaya micro plate. Para nasa plate siya. Try to check. Microplate. Microplate. I think napakita ko na to dati. Ayun. Ayan, so ito yung microplate. Nakikita nyo naman siguro sa inyo mga microplate na. Ginagamit natin yan primarily kasi nga ang trend nowadays is no longer yung big amount of reagents. Gusto natin makatipid. At syempre kung nakakatipid ka, nagkakaroon ka ng increased income. Okay? Kung ikaw may-ari ng laboratory, you would prefer to use microplate rather than yung malalaking test tube. Kasi ito, konti lang, makakapag-measure ka pa din naman ng accurate, okay, compared to that which consumes more reagents. So, yung halimbawa, ang magagawa mong test ay sa isang test, naging mong 10 o di 10 test pala nagawa mo kasi nga pinababa mo lang yung consumption ng reagent. Anyway, next. So, limitation, this is a dye binding method. So, therefore, it varies from protein to protein kasi nga, ang hinahanap niya daw ay ito, arginine and aromatic acid. So, hindi pare-pareho lahat ng protein in terms of arginine content or aromatic acid, amino acid content present in the protein molecule. So, merong variation. Okay, and what else? There may be interference with detergents or surfactants. So, example daw niyan is SDS or sodium dodecyl sulfonate. Okay, so yan. Anyway, basta yan, SDS, it's not surfactant. Then UV absorbance, direct spectrophotometry, wala ka idadagdag. Me-measure mo lang diretso yung specimen sa UV, light at 280 nanometers. So this is quantitative and it will detect, okay, the presence of these amino acids. Again, nabanggit ko to kanina, si tryptophan, tyrosine, and phenylalanine, sila yung, ano nga sila? Sila yung mga aromatic amino acids. So PTT, phenylalanine, tyrosine, and tryptophan. Okay? Nakalimutan na, absorbance lang yan. Direct measurement, spectrophotometric. So, advantages, obviously, this is fast. So, okay, it's a quick method. Okay, there are no required reagents. Okay, however, meron din siyang mga limitations. For example, requirement for pure protein solution. So ito yung para magiging standard natin or yung ating yung compare natin, okay, blanking or standard, okay? Then contaminants may be present like nucleic acids and buffer salts that can cause some interference in the test. Next, Kjeldahl. Kjeldahl method. Okay. So this is a measure of the total nitrogen. Take note, ang mini-measure natin dito ay nitrogen in the sample. Not the protein, but only the nitrogen. You see, if you know that the nitrogen content and you multiply that by 6.25, you get the more or less an approximate concentration of the protein level. Okay? So, yeah. So, multiply mo daw by this number, 6.25. So, what are the steps in the Kjeldahl digestion? Okay, we add our specimen to concentrated sulfuric acid, which will cause convert the nitrogen in your protein to become ammonium sulfate. Then after that, we will add an alkaline solution to neutralize the acid. Then finally, we perform distillation and titration with ano pa nga natin? So alkali ito, the alkali. So ibig sabihin, mag-acid ano na naman tayo, acid titration. Okay, that will release ammonia and this ammonia can be measured. Okay, so ang mini-measure natin will be the ammonia because ammonia contains nitrogen. So advantages, this is very accurate, especially for food and biological tissues. However, it is time consuming. You can see, ang daming steps, no? Okay, time consuming, destructive, and even hazardous because we're using concentrated sulfuric acid, which is a very strong acid. Okay, and again, it measures total nitrogen. Okay, when we say total nitrogen, that nitrogen can come from not just protein, but it may also come from other nitrogen-containing substances. Isip nga kayo, ano ba yung mga iba pang mga substances aside from protein na may lamang nitrogen? Ano kaya yun? Meron pa bang mga substances na may lamang nitrogen maliban sa protein? Okay, I think nabanggit ko na ito dati. Ang tawag natin dyan ay non-protein nitrogen. Nitrogen pero hindi protein. So ano yung mga yan? Yung mga metabolic end products. What is the end product of protein catabolism? What is the end product of protein catabolism? Letter U. U. Letter R. Sugod ba kayo? Urea. Okay, urea. So ano pa? Kamag-anak ni urea. Katunog. Uric acid. Okay? And another is creatine. So ito yung mga non-protein nitrogen. So ayan, pwede daw ma-measure itong Kjeldahl maliban kay protein. Pwede din niya ma-measure itong mga ibang substances that contain nitrogen. In summary, okay, ito naman, specific protein measurements. Okay. For albumin, ang preferred method natin is dye-binding method. Okay, dye-binding assay. Kasi si albumin, gusto niya, ang kapartner na gusto niya yung mga dyes, mga may kulay na dyes. Madali siyang idikit kay dye. For example, BCG and BCP. Okay, ang BCG dito, kasi baka na-encounter nyo na yung BCG sa CPH. Okay, in this case, ang tawag dito ay bromcresol green, which is the dye that binds with albumin. Okay? What about the BCG in CPH? Ano yung BCG na yun? Uy. So that is the vaccine for Vaccine. BC. Pakita eh. Gusto ko makita. Sana may answer kayo. Bacillus or Basil kasi French yan eh. Basil, Calmet, and Bacillus of Calmet and Guerin. Kaya yun yung BCG. Yun yung vaccine natin for tuberculosis. Alright, so if you want to measure hemoglobin, you can also use another method because hemoglobin is another protein. So we can do cyan-met hemoglobin. Ewan ko kung nabanggit nyo na ito before. So this is a spectrophotometric method using Drabkin's reagent. Okay? Ang nadidinig ko ditong laging mali eh, nagiging Drabskin. Okay? Hindi Drabskin na Drabkin's. Drabkin's reagent. Okay? So you convert hemoglobin into cyan-met hemoglobin using this method, using this Drabkin's reagent. So, ang problema lang dito, kay Drabkins, meron siyang cyanide. So, medyo delikado. Meron siyang danger associated. Next, immunoglobulin. Gamma globulin. You can measure them using nephelometry or turbidimetry. Natatandaan nyo ba ito sa ano? Do you remember this in analytical chemistry? So you can do nephelometry or turbidimetry. So by performing antigen and antibody complex measurements, so light scattering effects. Then CRP. CRP is short for C-reactive protein. So this is a protein, if you remember, a protein that increases in case of inflammation. Okay, napaka-sensitive yan. Okay, kapag tumaas yung C-reactive protein, may namamaga sa iyo. Okay? So there is something that is inflamed in your body. And once mawala yung pamamaga na yan, bababa din si C-reactive protein. Ibig sabihin, C-reactive protein is a very sensitive test for inflammation. Okay? So kaya napakaganda nito. Meron kasi tayong ginagawa sa hematology. Ang tawag natin ay ESR. Na-encounter niya ba ESR? Na-mention na ba yung ESR? So, erythrocyte sedimentation rate. So, kino-compare nila yung dalawa na yan. Kasi ang ESR, pang ano din yun. It's also a marker or a test for inflammation. Non-specific. Mga non-specific na test yan. Okay? And so, well, C-reactive proteins better than ESR because ESR is it's more difficult to perform, and the results may not be very accurate. Okay? Hindi siya, kumbaga, hindi immediate yung response ng ESR. Pero itong CRP, once nag-improve, makikita mo na agad na bumababa na yung CRP. Samantalang yung ESR, it may remain abnormal for some time. So kaya yun yung advantage nitong CRP over ESR. Then enzymes. Well, napakadaming enzymes. So maraming mga enzymes, and they have their significance in terms of diagnostic significance. So diagnostic significance of enzymes. Then hormone assays. You can do RIA or ELISA. So this method called RIA, radioimmunoassay, was created. Actually, ang tension nila nung ni Yalow. Meron dalawang scientists, ang pangalan si Dr. Yalow tsaka si Burson. Si Yalow and Burson. Nila. Na-create sila nitong technique na ito to measure hormones. Okay? Parang na-discuss ko na ito before, pero in another subject. Okay? So, radioimmunoassay. Competitive assay yan. Okay? Nagko-compete sila. And so, electrophoresis, napag-usapan na natin to. I don't want to repeat this again, but just take a look at kung ito yung ating mga medium, no? Remember, electrophoresis is a separation technique. So it allows our proteins, kasi iba-iba yung proteins eh. Ano-ano nga yung mga proteins? Meron tayong albumin. Tapos yung globulin natin. Ilang klase ang globulin natin, alam nyo? What are the different three types? Okay, what are the three types of globulins? Ito na naman tayo. Alpha, beta, and yung pangatlo. Ano yung pangatlo? Gamma. Okay, alpha, beta, and gamma. Minsan, huwag kayong malilito, no? Kasi pag tinanong ko, what are the three types of cells or four types of cells in the pancreas, hindi gamma, kundi delta. Okay? So anyway, so ito yung ating mga techniques for electrophoresis, different types of electrophoresis. So for the separation of the alpha, beta, and gamma globulins and albumin. Okay, alpha 1 and alpha 2. Meron pang alpha 1 and alpha 2. So ito yung significance natin. Okay, albumin, bumababa daw yan in liver disease. Alpha 1 and alpha 1 globulins in inflammation. In nephrotic syndrome, alpha 2, hyperlipidemia, okay, beta globulins. Okay, parang ang rule daw dyan. So yung mga alpha, may mga pangalan yung alpha, madaling matanda yung mga alpha. Alpha 1 antitrypsin. Tapos may mga alpha. Yung daw hindi binanggit, mga gamma globulin, ito yung mga antibodies. Yung in between, ang hindi nabanggit, gamma, beta yun, okay? Ano ba example ng mga beta globulins? Halimbawa, complement, beta yun. Kasi hindi siya nabanggit dito, eh. Okay? Yun yung rule natin. Parang, kung hindi mo alam kung anong klaseng protein yun, tingnan mo. Malamang beta yun, okay? Beta globulin. So there are chromatographic techniques as well. Chromatography, pwede din natin gamitin ng chromatography, another separation method. Bakit? Pag gusto natin ipag-separate yung mga protein. Kasi nga, merong ibang protein na nagsasabi, ito yung sakit mo. Okay? Kung nakita natin yung protein na yon, then we can be sure na yun talaga yung sakit. Unlike yung general lang na, yung parang total protein lang yung me-measure natin. So, mas maganda kung ma-identify natin specifically kung anong protein ang problematic rather than kung lahat na, sabi natin, oh, abnormal yung protein mo. And so what? Baka may sakit ka sa liver. Tanongin mo, anong sakit sa liver? Anong klaseng sakit sa liver? Kaso hindi mo naman na-identify kung ano ang specific protein that is elevated or is causing that elevation. So, or decrease. So, hindi natin alam kung ano talaga ang problema, right? But if you can identify, like in this case, ano ba ang mataas? Albumin ba? Ano ba yung mababa pala? So, pag mababa, kadalasan, sinasabi ko sa inyo, ang protein bumabagsak kasi nga, ang majority ng protein ay albumin. 55 to 65%. Majority of the protein in the blood is albumin. Para saan nga si albumin? Si albumin ay transport protein. Transport protein yan. Taga-transport yan. Kaya marami yan. Okay, isa din siya syempre sa component ng mga ano pa. So transport siya. Okay? Right, so let's continue. Immunochemical methods and ELISA. So ELISA. So kaya natin sinama yan dito. Napansin nyo, marami sa mga methods na nabanggit natin, they can make use of ELISA to detect or measure proteins. Maraming klase ng ELISA. Direct ELISA, sandwich, indirect sandwich assay, and competitive ELISA. Siguro hindi na natin i-explain mabuti kung ano yung nangyayari sa ELISA. Pero tingnan nyo na lang yung pangalan, no? Enzyme link, immunosorbent assay. So, ibig sabihin, gumagamit tayo ng enzyme. So, kapag may enzyme, anong kailangan ni enzyme? Substrate. Kailangan niya ng substrate. So, kapag yung enzyme, okay, nakadikit na yan doon sa ating antibody, okay, dumikit doon sa antigen na hinahanap natin, which is the protein, at yung enzyme na yun, magdadagdag tayo ng subset. Ano ba sa tingin niyo mangyayari pagkakaroon ng color reaction? Okay? Pag nagkaroon ng color reaction, positive. Okay? So, positive. Kung iyan ay qualitative, positive. Kung iyan ay quantitative, gagamit ka ng spektro. Kasi yung kulay, nagbago yung kulay, gusto mong i-measure yung change in color. So, this is applicable in the measurement of hormones, cytokines, antibodies, and viral antigens. Yan. So, maraming applications yung ELISA. So, merong direct, may indirect, may sandwich, at merong competitive. Sarap sana i-discuss ito, kaya lang pang immunology, serology. Okay? Okay, then we have nephelometry and turbidimetry. So, antigen-antibody reaction din ito. Okay? Ang principle kasi, kapag yung iyong antigen ay soluble antigen, okay? Tapos na-meet niya yung antibody, magkukos siya ng turbidity. Okay? Ibig sabihin, magiging cloudy. Magiging cloudy yung solution mo. And you can measure it using the spectrophotometer. Take the absorbance. Or, pwede din gumamit ng nephelometry. Instead of direct measurement, ang mine-measure natin is scattered light. Scattered light. Kasi nagbabounce yung light dun sa antigen-antibody complex. So, it's better to use nephelometric rather than turbidimetric measurements. Okay? Dati yung turbidimetry tsaka yung spectrophotometry, pareho lang ang principle niyan. Ang pagkakaiba lang nila sa spectro ay may kulay. Itong turbidimetry walang kulay. Okay? So, ibig sabihin yung direction ng flow ng light is 180 degrees. Ibig sabihin, diretso, straight line. Samantalang dito sa nephelometry, straight line then liliko siya. Nagiging 45 degrees. Yun yung pagkakaiba nila. Kasi nga, scattered light ang hinahanap natin. So, this one is useful for the detection and measurement of CRP. Nabanggit natin kanina, haptoglobin. Ang haptoglobin may kinalaman din siya kay hemoglobin, okay? Then, complement and immunoglobulins. Then, number 6.3 is Western blot. Western blot. So, you have to combine this with SDS page. Ito yung ating electrophoresis. Okay, to separate. Then, followed by immunoblotting. Okay? Separation by SDS page and transfer to nitrocellulose membrane and then incubate with enzymes and antibodies. Then finally, we visualize. Okay, ginagamit yan for the detection of antibodies for HIV and for protein expression studies. So, ano to, research. And then, ito yung atin sa laboratory. Gagawin natin ito sa lab. So, ito, Santo Protect test. So, this detects the presence of aromatic rings like tryptophan, tyrosine, phenylalanine. Kaya Santo, pag nakita mo yung Santo Protect, Santin, kaya ibig sabihin yan yellow. So, ang kulay na nahanap natin dyan ay yellow. Ang ginagamit nating reagent, nitric acid. Parang no? Halimbawa, napatakan ka ng nitric acid sa skin, ano magiging kulay? Dilaw. Bakit dilaw? Kasi meron yung skin mo, may protein yan. Pero syempre, wag mo namang gawin yan, okay? Gamit tayo ng ibang specimen. Ang gagamitin nating specimen, pwedeng itlog, pwedeng bean extract. Ano pa ba may mga protein? Pwede kang gamit ng milk. So, basta may protein. Pwede ba ang saliva? Pwede ba ang saliva? Tanong. Tingin nyo, magpa-positive ba sa saliva yan? Sorry. Isipin nyo, magpa-positive ba sa saliva? May protein ba sa saliva? Yes or no? May protein, wala. Walang sagot. Pag tinanong another question, alam nyo na yung sagot. May enzyme ba sa saliva? Meron, ano? So, ang enzyme ba protein? Yes. So, magpa-positive ba sa saliva? Yes, magpa-positive kasi nga, yung enzymes are also proteins. Then, Millon's test. So, ang hinahanap naman ni Millon's test ay residues ni tyrosine. At ang kulay niya is red or pink to red, no precipitate. Millon's reagent. Biuret, pinabi natin yung biuret. Ninhydrin test. So, ito naman ay blue or purple, deep blue or purple. Lead acetate test. Okay, so ito naman black precipitate with forming lead sulfide. Yung mga sulfide, iba-iba yan. Ano? May sulfide na puti, may sulfide na yellow, may sulfide na black. Pero dito, ang hinanap natin ay lead sulfide. So, ibig sabihin black. Yan, okay? Ito na yung mga normal values natin. At ito yung ibig sabihin nila, okay? Kapag bumaba, okay? Kapag bumaba doon sa normal value, ibig sabihin ito yung sakit mo. Okay? Possible sakit, okay? Okay, so end na daw. Ano pa man nakakalimutan ko dito? May nakalimutan ako. Yan. So, I need to request. Okay, magre-request pa ako ng reagent. Ako kung nakikita niyo yung mga ano doon. So, napaka-strict nila in terms of how many days na kailangan daw ma-request. Bawal daw mag-request ng Saturday and Sunday. Kailangan lang daw Thursday mag-request. Okay, so, ano ba ngayon? Wednesday. So, makakapag-request pa ako today. Hanapin ko lang yung mga reagent. So that by Monday, we can perform. Balik na kayo ng Monday ha. Kung uuwi kayo sa probinsya, make sure nakabalik na kayo by Sunday para the following day, Monday, makakapasok kayo. Kasi magpa-perform tayo ng lab activities natin for proteins. Okay? Proteins and enzymes. Okay, kung hindi natin matatapos yan, tutuloy natin yan up to Wednesday. Clear? Yeah, I hope it's clear. And please check your manual. And in your manual, you will see ano yung mga kailangan nyo dalhin. Okay, so tingnan nyo lang, ang natatandaan ko, kailangan nyo magdala ng beans. Yung beans, tingnan nyo, kailangan niya pa ibabad yung beans. Bababad overnight sa tubig. And also, parang ano yun, i-blender nyo na. I-blender nyo na. Parang gagawa yata tayo ng taho. Okay, or ng soya. Ng ano, tofu. Anyway, so meron din, isa ay milk, and egg. Okay, so yun yung lagi nating specimen ng egg, no? So yun yung mga dadalhin natin for our experiment next week. So yun, so have a safe trip kung uuwi kayo sa inyong province. Okay? And then what else? So yun lang. So, hindi naman celebrate yan. No? So, just be with your loved ones. It's your time to parang be with your family this weekend. Thank you. O, yan lang. So, thank you for attending the session for today. Okay. Nag-screenshot. I hope nag-screenshot. Pakishare na lang sa ating GC. And do yung ano, pinapa-remind kami about yung QR code. So if you please do the QR code. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Hey,
Thank
Doc.
you,
Thank
Doc.
you po.
Thank you po, Doc.